Thank you for tuning in to watch this presentation about computer-based testing tools and testing accommodations for the New York State Education Department Spring Computer-Based Testing Administration, or CBT. In this presentation, we will provide details about the differences between student testing tools and student testing accommodations, and also go over the primary features of some of the tools and accommodations. There is a difference between online testing tools and student testing accommodations. Online testing tools are available to all students, and you can see examples of them on the screen. Student testing accommodations are only available based on a student's IEP or 504 plan and must be set up by a testing coordinator in the NextEra admin system, which is Questar's administration system for managing computer-based testing. We hear from many of our CBT schools that students like the online testing tools, such as the highlighters and line reader. This past spring, when we visited CBT testing schools to observe computer-based field testing, we noticed and heard from many students that they liked the answer eliminator and the review screen the best. These are great tools that help students organize their responses and easily review when they are finished testing. The review screen means that a student doesn't need to rustle through all the pages in their testing booklet to find an answer they may have skipped. The review screen helps them see that and navigate directly to it. Online tools. There are different tools for ELA and Math. However, most of them are shared. The highlighter, bookmark, notes, answer eliminator, Zoom, and review screen are available for both CBT, ELA, and Math. In CBT, ELA, students have a line reader that allows the student to focus on a particular section of the passage. It can be moved around on screen, and it can also be expanded and minimized. They also have a page slider that allows the student to focus on a larger part of the screen, either on the ELA passage or on the constructed response box. In CBT Math, students have a ruler and protractor in addition to an online reference sheet for grades 3 through 8. For the 2019 CBT administration, students will also be provided with a print reference sheet in those grade levels, as in years past. This year, the equation editor drawing tool is also available in CBT Math for all constructed response items. This is an option that students can use to arrive at responses creatively. At the end of this video, we will show you how to navigate to the online question sampler, where your students, teachers, administrators, and even parents can view the question sampler, the CBT practice test, and the new drawing tool in the equation editor. As noted earlier, student testing accommodations are available according to a student's IEP or 504 plan and must be set by the school administrator in the NextEra admin system prior to a student sitting to take the test. The most popular online testing accommodation are the two different accommodations for delivering the test-read accommodation. But there are also other accommodations that can enhance the delivery of the online test or assist with organizing responses. There are 6 different testing accommodations that can be selected for a student through the NextEra admin system. There are 2 accommodations for delivery of the test-read accommodation. Text-to-speech is an online-only accommodation for the robot to read to the student or the computer. Read aloud by human allows a human to read the test to the student while the student is testing on computer. We will go into detail about the online options for the test-read accommodation later. Reverse contrast shows the test with a black background and white font. Background color shows the font in black with 4 different options for background color: pink, blue, green, and yellow. Initial page zoom allows for the test administrator to select a percentage at which the test page should be enlarged on screen. As the student navigates to each test question, that percentage zoom is initiated for the student on the test question. One of the most important things to remember with online testing and student test accommodations is that the CSE, the Committees of Special Education, of which the student is a part, should review the online practice test in order to help determine the best way to deliver a student's testing accommodation online for computer-based testing. The online testing accommodation may not match word for word to what is noted in a student's IEP or 504 plan. When reviewing annually for a student who may be testing on computer in the spring, the CSE can note an online accommodation delivery method in the Implementation Recommendations section. You can see an example on screen, where you can see that text-to-speech software has been noted as the implementation recommendation for this student. When ordering computer-based tests for CBT grade level, for a student who will be making use of the test-read accommodation, the principal will indicate number of quantities of test-read students as he did when ordering paper tests. The CSE can work together with the student to determine the appropriate method of delivery on computer sometime before the spring testing window. The important part here is that when the principal is ordering, the principal is noting, yes, I do have, X number of test-read students in this grade level. And then later, the CSE and the student take a look at the practice test. They determine, how are we going to deliver that accommodation? Will it be via headphones and the text-to-speech, or will it be via human reader while the student is testing on computer? When indicating test-read quantities, we then know how many paper test booklets to ship to the school. For instance, when a human reader is determined to be the best method of delivering the test-read accommodation for a student on computer, we are making sure to ship at least 2 test booklets to that school for that one student. There are 3 ways to deliver the test-read accommodation. Okay? The test-read accommodation on paper only is where a human reads the test to the student from a paper test. Many of you out there understand that the requirement for a CBT grade level is that all students in the grade level must test on computer. However, there could be an IEP or a 504 plan that determines that a student must test on paper in a CBT grade level. Okay? So testing on paper is still an option if it is indicated in the IEP or 504 plan. This is a classroom-only accommodation, and when this is the method of delivery for a student in a CBT grade level, the school administrator is marking that student with a not tested code as tested on paper in the NextEra admin system. Read aloud by human is a new accommodation that we added in 2018. A human reads the test to the student from a paper test. Why? Because the school has indicated that they need test-read paper booklets, so we've shipped those booklets. And by selecting the read aloud by human in the NextEra admin system, we are able to ensure that that student is being served Form A on computer, and that human reader has been shipped a paper booklet for Form A. The student tests on computer and enters responses on computer. This is a combination of online and human-delivered accommodation. For text-to-speech, this is an online-only accommodation. The student is testing in the classroom with her or his peers, or in a separate location with other students that are testing with the text-to-speech accommodation, but they're testing with headphones. Okay? The computer is reading to the student, and the student is responding online on computer. We have heard from many CBT schools that students like testing on computer with the text-to-speech accommodation. They like the robots reading to them. And we understand that many students are using text-to-speech software in the classroom. A very important issue to remember when working with students that will be using test accommodations in computer-based testing is that those students, we should try to match their daily instruction to how they would test on computer. Okay? So many students are familiar with the text-to-speech accommodation and other software. But this allows them to test independently and, as noted earlier, if possible, in the same classroom with her or his peers. The text-to-speech player can be moved around on screen by the student, such as if a student prefers the text-to-speech player to be on the left side of the screen instead of on the right, which is the default when the test launches for the student. There are different speeds that the student can adjust, as well as different play options, such as play from here, that allows the student to place the mouse cursor anywhere within the test question to reread a word or phrase. The student has complete control over the text-to-speech player and must click play to have each test question read to her/him. There are no options for the test-read accommodations such as read-only answers or read-only passages. That's just an FYI, or any other type of test-read accommodation variation. Finally, we received a lot of questions about the testing accommodation use of Scribe and CBT. We do have an article on CBT support at niced.niced.gov that provides more details on how use of Scribe could work with CBT. That's a could. The most important thing always is that the CSE agree on the best way to deliver a testing accommodation to a student who is testing on computer. In this instance, a student will respond verbally to the scribe, who will then write the response on a piece of paper for the student to review. This is the same process for paper testing. The scribe will then type the response into the online test response boxes for the student. You have heard me say several times that the CSE must help to determine the most appropriate way to deliver a testing accommodation to a student testing on computer. It is so very important that we beat the drum and make sure that we say it several times that the CSE and the student should review the online practice test together. You can see on screen the URL for finding the question sampler, which is available via the Google. You can find it too. You can share it with parents. And you can also find links to the question sampler on cbtsupport.niced.gov. Okay? The New York Question Sampler provides 3 practice tests in every grade level, as well as experience with all of the testing accommodations offered via CBT. You can find links to the question sampler on CBT support, or you can simply Google New York Question Sampler to find a path to the question sampler with the CBT practice test. You would never give a student a pencil for the first time to take a test on paper, right? We want all of our students to be familiar with the online testing tools and, if necessary, the testing accommodations before sitting to take the computer-based tests in the spring. We are excited to offer an option for testing that includes so much technology in New York State. If you have any questions about this presentation, please contact cbtsupport@niced.gov or contact your local RIC testing department. We are here to help.